Ah, so I'm in the mountains in Georgia, the country in Central Asia, not the place in the United States of America. And it is absolutely beautiful, right? I'm on vacation. I'm going on a hike right now to, I guess, summit this little mountain because there's a church up there, a really old church, and it makes for a nice day's hike. And as you can see, it's a beautiful day. So it would be absolutely ridiculous for me to make a YouTube video about tech right now, wouldn't it? Just because all the other YouTubers have said something about it and I don't exactly agree. So maybe I'll just enjoy my hike. Except I don't get what Asus is actually trying to do. I just don't. We're talking about the Asus Zenfone 8. Now you've heard about it, you've seen all the tech reviewers talk about it, so there's no point in me running through a laundry list of tech specs. So I'm not going to. But we should probably take a brief overview of the phone itself, right? It's a 5.9-inch display, small form factor, fits in many hands, harks back to a time where phones were made to be ergonomic and fit in the palm of your hands and be used by one hand. I can get behind that. That is a good thing. 1080p screen, 120Hz display for that nice crisp user interface. Good. They boast very close to stock Android version of the Zen UI. Again, something I can get behind 100%. It's got stereo speakers, that new Cirrus Logic chip. As a side note, Cirrus Logic actually employed a company to look into what users were doing with their speaker phones and with their headphones, and that company found out that there was a 40% increase in usage of speaker phones, right? So Cirrus Logic made that chip and released it this year and made it specifically to make your audio listening experience better if you're using your speakers. And Asus put that chip immediately. That chip came out this year and Asus already has it in their phone. They are on the ball on this one. These are all good things. Of course, the form factor means you're limited to a 4000 milliampere battery. A little bit disappointing, but understandable given the size of the device. So far, it looks really good. Turn the device around and it's pretty plain. Now, this is a little bit of a shortfall, and I would make the argument that most people would put a case on it, so it shouldn't really matter. Still, you would like your devices to look a little bit nice. The one part of the back that peeks through the case is the camera bump, and this is what puzzles me, right? Somehow Asus have managed to make their camera bump look like it belongs on a budget phone from 6 years ago. I'm beginning to see small chinks in the armor here, short battery life, camera bump that looks a little bit dated, back that is not exactly eye-catching when you're trying to get hold of an audience. And make no mistake, this particular phone, we're talking about the Zenfone 8 and not the Zenfone 8 Flip, because this is the important phone in the lineup. Because this is where Asus has decided to make a change in the way they're going forward and try and attract more people to their non-gamer phones. This is an important move, which makes it odd that they wouldn't go ahead and beautify it in order to catch your eye if you were considering phones in this segment. Nonetheless, the phone looks pretty good. The only way to find out if it really is good is to compare it with its peers. So there's two ways to go about this. One, we look at the form factor, the size of the screen and so on. And two, we look at the price of the device. So we start with the size, right? There's a lot of wind here. I've got to keep walking though. So at 5.9 inches, it competes with a few different phones. If we look at under 6 inches, then you are narrowed down to either a Google Pixel 5 or an iPhone 12 mini. The iPhone 12 mini is not something I would recommend to anyone, not because it's a bad device, but because that battery life is so bad that really no one should encourage that sort of behavior. But if you upgrade to the iPhone 12, suddenly it doesn't become such an easy comparison, because the iPhone 12 is a pretty good phone. Arguably, it looks a lot better than the Zenfone, gives you a lot of the same features, has the iOS experience, has very tried and tested image quality and video quality, and gives you all the Apple goodness if you're into that sort of thing. So I think it's fair to say the Zenfone 8 is not going to encourage anyone to leave iOS for Android. So let's turn over to the Android side of things. The Pixel 5. A good phone all around, but with a fair few shortcomings. Google didn't really go all out on this, but it's the same price as the Zenfone. So if you are looking at it purely spec by spec, the Zenfone 8 actually wins out over the Pixel 5. But it's not a fair comparison because the Pixel 5 came out quite a while back. And if I could hold out, I would probably hold out for the Pixel 6 coming up in October. Having said that, if you had to choose between these two phones, I guess the Zenfone 8 wins so far, subject to a few things, which we'll come back to later. Now, if you're not hell-bent on this sub 6-inch screen size, then you could maybe have a look at the OnePlus 9 or the Samsung S21. And here's where things become really murky. Hang on, I have to get up this steep bit. Now, the OnePlus 9 is a significantly larger screen size, but it's the same price point. So it does compete in a sense. If you're very particular about the screen size, then the OnePlus 9 is not for you. But what it does give you is a much larger battery life, much faster wireless charging and wired charging, and the OnePlus 9 camera array, which has been updated with the Hasselblad color profiles, and honestly it's quite good. So I would make the argument that if you're okay with a 6.5-inch display, the OnePlus 9 might actually be a little better value. Whoa! Which brings us to the Samsung S21. If you put these two phones side by side, on paper, they're almost exactly the same. It's uncanny, right? It's almost as if Asus took a look at its competition and copy-pasted all the features. But here's the thing. The Samsung retails at $800 and the Asus retails at $700. But the fact is, you can get the S21 for a little bit cheaper in the market. And for about $50–60 more, you get a phone that arguably looks better, has the Samsung ecosystem, the Samsung camera array, and equal to or better battery life. So you got to ask yourself, why would you buy the Zenfone here? And here lies the problem. See, it's not that Asus made a bad device. They actually made a really good device. But they priced it completely wrong. If you want market share, and you don't have the kind of brand presence people associate with Samsungs and Apples and even OnePlus, then you've got to price it effectively. And then you have to spend on marketing. And then you have to make sure there's a phone in the closest electronics store near everybody. Almost none of that is true. If I go out and look for an Asus phone, chances are the electronics store won't have it. Marketing, almost non-existent in many parts of the world. They do sell phones in their own geographical area, but they're clearly looking to appeal to a wider audience here. The only segment this phone becomes favorable in is if you absolutely do not want to go more than 6 inches. Because remember, the Samsung, 6.2 inches, it's 0.3 inches more. The iPhone 12, 6.1 inches. It's almost the same thing for almost the same money. But you get something that's tried and tested. You get an ecosystem, you get better camera quality, and remember, Asus's cameras look good on paper, but they have never been good at camera quality. That's not to say it's bad. It'll be a serviceable camera, but it's not likely to hold a candle to the Samsungs, Apples, Googles, and OnePluses of the world. Now, I applaud Asus for its razor focus, right? It has let go of that gimmicky flip-up camera, which I love, but it's also an alienating feature. It's tried to make it very bland, and I think they went a little too far in that direction. But they were clearly focused on making this accessible to everyone. Somehow that razor focus fell short when it came to pricing. If this phone was $100 cheaper or even $70–80 cheaper, this would be a very, very different conversation. But it's not. That's not to say this is a bad phone. This is a very good phone. And the purpose of this phone, more than selling large numbers, is providing Asus with a blank sheet, a platform if you will, to create more consumer-friendly devices that appeal to more people around the world. If they keep increasing on this and manage to bring the price point down or manage to market their products in such a way that people start taking notice, then we might have something in the next few years. But I don't think they're there yet. Again, if you want a sub 6-inch phone, this is probably your best bet. But if you don't mind 6.1 or 6.2 inches, I cannot honestly recommend this phone over an iPhone 12 or a Samsung S21 by any stretch of imagination. And now, I've got the rest of this mountain to climb, so I'm gonna get to it. Whew. If I fall down this mountain making a YouTube video, does that make me a legend? You think that's worth a subscribe? I don't know. Let me just, you know what? I'm just gonna keep walking. Just keep walking. Oh, that's such a beautiful day though. Such a beautiful, here, take a look.